A Starfield video. I am so happy I could cry.
Starfield Shared Space expansion was controversial, and perhaps that is
It was complete trash. Everyone knows it. Anyone who does not say this is either a complete nincompoop or blind.
even putting it a bit lightly. These review scores have definitely told some kind of story, and while some fans have pushed back against this, calling it a vocal minority, the player counts definitely
Vocal minority. When less than 6% of the player base actually buys the expansion or plays the expansion for free, by the way, which is the majority of people. When less than 6% of people who even and considering the majority has this thing for free, refuse to return the game when the expansion launches, you know you messed up. Well, Bethesda probably doesn't. They're probably thinking this is just, extremity.
tell a different story, as those have been declining as well. But it was a bit of an odd situation, as outside of a few quotes from Emil, we haven't really heard much from Bethesda or even Xbox as far as reactions go to some of the pushback on the Starfield DLC. Or at least we hadn't heard anything until this week, where in a rather bizarre game of telephone, Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, is sharing some details on what Todd Howard thinks of the recent Starfield Shattered Space launch and some of the feedback that came.
Yeah, what Todd Howard thinks, the guy who completely distanced himself away from Starfield because of how bad of a disaster it was. I'm sold, boys. I'm so sold.
From it. This was reported by Games Radar Plus, citing a game file interview with Phil Spencer, where he says, Todd and I were talking about Shattered Space. Starfield is a game I put a ton of hours into and really love, but they've had this
while wearing my bondage gear, obviously. That's what he's saying.
Thing where they've added features throughout the year, and then they had an
added features? What kind of features? An FOV slider, an eat button, a mini map, and a buggy. That's not features. Any other gaming company looks at that and says, oh yeah, this is like one minor patch. I mean, Diablo 4 is dead, but they even add more.
Expansion. If you haven't been following Starfield closely in 2024, they did add quite a bit of content, largely working through this.
Yeah, they added definitely quite a bit of content. For example, this gun right here.
They did add quite a
and that is the animation in Skyrim for summoning. Yeah.
A bit of content, largely working through this little 2024 roadmap that they shared at the end of last year, and lots of the updates were really solid. Little 2024.
Really, this is your roadmap. City map, buggy, new ways to customize your ship, lies, new gameplay options for further adjusted difficulties. Literally no one cares. This did not change the game at all. Official mod support, bugs and mods don't work. Our first story expansion, Shattered Space, which was horrible.
Roadmap that they shared at the end of last year, and lots of the updates were really solid. We got more performance modes, a build your own difficulty setting, visual upgrades, mod support, and even
the visual upgrades. Most of the time, you don't know which one is which one is supposed to be the upgraded one.
Short quest with a new bounty feature, although for better.
This baited in people to spend $10 on 20 minutes of gameplay.
Or for worse, at least.
Oh, Juice, I'm so proud of you. You're shilling so hard, Bethesda is blushing.
In my opinion, none of these individual updates really changed the game to a degree where I felt like, yeah.
Okay, that's it. Your paycheck is cut. No more. How dare you?
That was the time to return for a second playthrough. Some of the new difficulty options definitely got close, but I think many were still waiting for Shattered Space to give Starfield a second go. And I think that is a very important piece of content.
Actually, again, no one did. Again, we looked at the numbers. Less than 6% potentially returned to Shattered Space when the DLC dropped. Less than 6%! And on a normal game, look at Elden Ring. The DLC created a new peak player count. That's more than 100%. Man.
Context. A ton of fans were specifically waiting for this expansion or some kind of more substantial update to return to the game. We heard at the end.
Doesn't this seem fun?
2023, how 250 devs, about half of Bethesda game studios, were still working on Starfield, and
yeah, trying to add an FOV slider.
As such, many in the community had large hopes for what was to come. And that finally did come. It did not get the best.
Idiots. We call them idiots. I usually am not so crude and rude, but these people who thought that Shattered Space is going to be a savior are idiots. And that's the only thing that you can call them. Also, Rosie O'Donnell is a pig.
Best response from fans, to which Phil Spencer says, I think some of the feedback on the expansion is we wanted more features. And he's like, that being Todd Howard, well, should we have waited to put buggies out? So on one hand,
Yeah, this, we already heard this, by the way. Bethesda is legitimately thinking the fact that they didn't put buggies in the DLC is like their grand fuck up. That's the reason why the DLC was not successful. Oh my god.
Do think Todd Howard's kind of spot on here. It's nice to see some actual acknowledgement. One of the major complaints around Shattered Space was that it felt small. There were lots of people claiming that Shattered Space felt like cut content just being restored, while some others, including me, just felt like the expansion disappointed in the value offering for $30. A $30 expansion isn't cheap, and particularly when you consider the release timing, it feels like there was a lot of eyes on this expansion as whether or not to return to Starfield. A big win here.
I honestly don't know how you can be Bethesda and add all the worst things ever. Well, okay, I kind of understand. Listen, but Bethesda has Elder Scrolls Online, and Elder Scrolls Online fucking moment is the fact that they decided that they're gonna steal from World of Warcraft, which honestly should be a decent idea stealing from. They have implemented a lot of things that are good over the years. But get this. They decided that they're going to steal from World of Warcraft. Not the best thing, but literally the critically acclaimed worst thing in the game. From the expansion Shadowlands, the most worstly received thing ever, they decided to steal Torghast. The worst received content piece in World of Warcraft ever. I mean, this is just peak Bethesda. They can't do anything, right? And this is my point. All the enemies you just saw right here, you know what's their ability? You know what's their unique shit? They teleport. Yeah. They teleport. Yeah. They literally just teleport. You shoot them and then they randomly teleport and you need to find them again. This is peak Bethesda. I have never heard of anyone liking a mob that teleports after getting shot, stabbed, or whatever. But here we go. Bethesda made a whole expansion around all the mobs doing this, pretty much. I hope you're happy.
Is whether or not to return to Starfield. A big win here could have gone a long way, but to me at least it feels like instead Bethesda opted to do what they had to do to get the expansion out and didn't really go above and beyond. This buggy update was released about 6 weeks before Shattered Space came out, and while I do think Todd Howard is spot on in identifying that Shattered Space did have some content issues, I don't think delaying the buggy would really fix that. And honestly, it feels like a pretty disconnected message from Todd Howard here, which is a little bit concerning to me because that was also one of the major takeaways I had and really criticisms I had from Emil's responses that were posted online and in an interview. Some of these responses from Bethesda higher ups.
Emil, the guy who is the main story creator for this game, who, keep in mind, was going to be the main story director for Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah? Yeah, you happy? You happy? Yeah, I'm deaf. Oh boy.
About what's going on with Starfield or Shattered Space just feel a bit disconnected from some of the fan complaints or what kind of things the fans want the company to be doing. The Rev 8 coming out with Shattered Space would have been fine, but the broader issue with the expansion was expansion-specific content, not whether or not a new vehicle also came with the update. You go to this new world, you meet a totally new culture, but then they all use the same ship parts as everyone else?
No, you meet something that can be best described as a botched attempt at creating a culture. Someone who has no idea what anything but a fucking melting pot looks like, which explains why they are in Canada, by the way, people. And then they just try to make something. Like, these people who made this expansion thought that they can make a new culture just by giving them fucking social retardation, random tattoos, because tattoos, ooh, they make tattoos and then never explain anything about them. Make them wear the same stupid dresses and whatnot, and make one of the key parts of their culture that they are idiots who kill each other for no reason, and that's legal. Listen, that's fucking stupid. I'm not saying the Skaven were like that before the Great Horned One actually gave them their commandments, but there's a reason the Great Horned One gave them their commandments, and that is because that life was fucking stupid. And if even a giant fucking glowing rat on what is effectively crack cocaine can figure that out, then it's kind of a miracle that Bethesda can't.
They don't have too many new weapons, and they don't really give you any special weapons or armors as unique quest rewards. And just overall, the writing wasn't Bethesda at their best, in my opinion, and in the opinions of many others out there. The new buggy definitely enhanced the expansion, though. Driving around this handcrafted area is a lot more fun than walking around the area, and while playing through Shattered Space, you can almost ignore fast travel outright if you want to. But at the same time, Starfield's exploration issues are much deeper, and this buggy only really addressed—
Yeah, do you really want to have this gameplay? This is probably the best gameplay of the buggy he got.
half of the problem. People were tired of running to these locations for minutes at a time. But even further, once you actually arrive at the location, they aren't all that interesting. And very quickly, you'll start to see repeated locations that are—
You know what's the funny part about this? The buggy is actually slower than just running.
literally identical to other points of interest. So yeah, while the buggy helps with the first half of that problem, having to run to those locations, it doesn't address the second half at all. In Shattered Space, there are a few new points of interest to uncover, but the system overall, particularly once you return to the settled systems after beating the DLC, has largely remained the same as it was on release. So being able to get to these points of interest more quickly is definitely nice, but the location system itself really needs an overhaul with new locations to make things feel more fresh. And that's to say that there are multiple problems here. I think the exploration in Starfield is falling short right now, and I think new locations would help to resolve that along with this newly added buggy, but that wasn't one of the core problems.
That's stupid.
With Shattered Space. The DLC overall just felt small and didn't have the best writing. And I do think Todd's saying that maybe—
What did have the best writing here? Nothing. Emil is mentally deficient at best.
I should have delayed the previous update before the expansion just to make it look like it had a bit more content is missing.
I have a better idea. How about we just delete Starfield from collective memory?
The mark and not really connecting with what audiences are saying. Lots of us just wanted more House Va'ruun specific content that made Va'ruun Kai feel more substantial. Phil Spencer does continue on to say, and so I think you're trying to tune both development effort and the impact of the expansion. And I think there will always be a balance to managing the game month to month, but not every game will do expansions. And while I definitely do get the perspective of this quote,
that's just a way of saying, oh yeah, Starfield failed so hard. We risked releasing an expansion, and yeah, every single worst fear that we had got proven right. So no more expansions.
I still feel like this is one of the problems with Starfield right now. If there are really 250 people working on this game throughout most of 2024, these updates and this expansion just feel small for an entire year of effort. Like, just as a simple point of comparison, all of Fallout 4's DLC was released within 1 year of release. Okay, technically I'm not including the high-resolution texture pack, but frankly, you shouldn't even use that DLC anyway, so I feel fine not including that. And technically, as far as the content or quest-related DLCs do go, they were all released within 9.5 months of the original release date of Fallout 4. So now, as you switch over to Starfield, you have more devs, a less buggy release, a more—
And then remember, this was supposed to be Starfield's Far Harbor.
Updated engine, but it still feels like content for this game is taking longer compared to the past one, even on the exact same timetable, which I think for a lot of players isn't really making sense. Obviously, something's going on. Bethesda is still working on Starfield, but it just feels like things are taking longer. And I genuinely feel like this was one of the major—
I really genuinely believe that Bethesda doesn't have a single person with a single shred of fucking talent left. I really think that there is no person who could be not this best described with the word complete ineptitude. Okay? I think there is no such thing as people of value left working in this company on anything. I think Bethesda has completely destroyed the will of the developers who could make something good, and they are only hiring people who are complete morons. I don't think there is a single shred of talent left in this whole company.
Major problems. A year in gaming time is a really long time, and Shattered Space coming out that much later while not being as huge as some had hoped definitely seemed to alienate some players, who simply had different expectations on how much more content they would have to play as they're considering reinstalling and finally returning to the game. Although speaking
By the way, I'm pretty sure the sparking effect that you saw is a bug that it doesn't.
of updates, earlier today Starfield did get another update. This is actually the first update since the release of Shattered Space, and it has a couple of really important features or
let me guess. We're gonna have to pay for this, huh?
changes. There was a bug with Shattered Space where if you take the leadership perk, companions would no longer make passive comments in dialogue. So if you beat Shattered Space and you're like, Andrea or whatever companion you took along with you was barely saying anything, if you took this leadership perk, that may have been the reason, and now things should be resolved. So you can replay through the DLC if you want to and get a bit more commentary. There are some general quest bugs around the DLC that were fixed. The long-standing lip sync bug is now resolved, so if you're downloading a companion or character mod, their lip sync files will actually work and their lips will move while talking. And the update did add in a totally new free vehicle that you...
What is this? The fuck am I looking at? Look at this type. Bruv.
commentary. DLC that were fixed.
Look at this tire! Like, what the hell is wrong with... What is this? What? What? It's a solid piece of metal! Why do you... Why do you have this? Why? Why do you have some kind of amortization system like this that doesn't make sense? If this contracts, this needs to... What's the opposite of contracts? It needs to do that. What? You just made car suspension into 4 fucking moving parts instead of 1, you dipshits. Oh my god, these people need to be, I don't even know what. Executed, hanged, like, they're a danger to society. Like, whoever thought of this, wait, that's actually a swastika. Okay, forgiven.
Fixed. The long-standing lip sync bug is now resolved, so if you're downloading a companion or character mod, their lip sync files will actually work and their lips will move while talking. And the update did add in a totally new free vehicle that you can download, as well as several new paid options from verified creators. With this update, Bethesda announced that creations from verified creators can now enable achievements. Previously, only Bethesda-made creations would qualify for this. But thankfully, that's all changed now, which was definitely overdue, but still a fantastic change to the program. And the new vehicle is pretty nice. It's a fully enclosed option that does have a rocket launcher as opposed to a laser weapon, but otherwise fairly similar while perhaps being slightly faster.
It couldn't even kill level 1 enemy in 1 shot. Your mining tool can kill it faster
Than the Rev 8. Bethesda also released a little Thanksgiving-related food quest, which is another cool free addition. If you're wondering why they're adding some of these features as free creations as opposed to just putting them in the game, it's because they want you using this menu and scrolling past.
Yeah, they want you to buy stuff. Oh. Anyway, that was Juicehead. It's Starfield is it's just over. Okay, stop. It's over. Bye.